welcome to This Week in Android. It is episode number 8. 8. Can you believe it? 8 already.
I feel old already.
I missed everybody. I missed you guys. You were at South by Southwest.
Well, I haven't been here for 2 weeks.
I know.
Barb was sitting here 2 weeks ago.
Feels like a lifetime.
It does.
But we missed our loyal viewers too. So welcome back. Thanks for joining us this Friday. In studio, as always, I have my co-host Mark Jeffrey.
Ashley,
good to have you.
Good to be here.
And I did miss you. I did miss you. Barb was fun though.
Yeah, Barb was great.
I will admit, Barb was really fun.
Really good.
Barb was great. And to my left, we have John Shiple.
Hey everybody.
Or as everyone likes to call him, Squishy.
Squishy. Yeah, I busted it out for South by.
Where's your glasses? I thought you were going to.
Well, I thought it looked silly. No? This is my Rock Band karaoke style.
I thought he was just going to do this the whole show.
You can't tell me that I'm reading the lyrics in the news. I just look like I'm engaged, right?
You look, yeah.
Otherwise.
You look, you look aloof. Like you're like, yeah, I know everything about Android, but I don't have to take off my glasses.
Like these Android glasses and my Android brain.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, well, tons and tons of Android news over the last couple weeks. I mean, I know we missed last week, and I'll probably miss some things that happened a week ago. But you know, the big one for me is Droid users shut down. Supposed to have 2. You're waiting.
I was supposed to get it yesterday, and well, tell us what we're supposed to get, because everyone may not know.
Well, everybody and document was leaked from Verizon and saying that 2.1 for Android was coming to the Droid, and it was coming on Thursday. And they were going to roll it out to 1,000 people, and then they were going to roll it out to 200,000 people, and then another 200,000 people, and so on and so on. Yeah.
So here's the quote. I forget where this came from, but this is a quote. The 3.18 OTA software update will not happen as planned. A new date will be communicated as soon as possible.
Which means it's not coming anytime soon.
No, that does not sound promising at all.
Now, I heard that there was a potentially that Bitphone, the company that manages the actual distribution of the update, is the one that's having the problem. Like they're having problems with capacity on their servers, things like that, and Verizon's not real thrilled.
Really?
I'll feed the rumor mill. I heard it was security based, so maybe there's some kind of
also interesting.
Maybe not Android, but one of the providers on the pipeline has an issue. Not
security
sure.
of the operating system, or
I don't know what that means. You know, it could be the distribution, the update mechanism.
Because one would think if there's a security issue on the Droid, since Android is the operating system is the same on all the phones for the most part.
Right.
It would be across all the other phones. Yeah. For the other phones. So.
Yeah.
Where'd you hear that rumor?
Yeah.
I'll Google it and I'll pull it up for you.
All right, rocking.
Yeah, but I'm not I don't know what's going on over at Big Red.
Well, you know what else happened today? I don't know if you know this because you've been on the freeway.
Yes, I've been sitting on the freeway.
Do you know what's been going on with Palm?
In terms of the rumor that Google may be buying Palm?
No. Their stock price tanked 25% today.
Well, it's been dropping like a stone.
No, it really dropped hard today.
It was at like $9 like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because, what happened was, that doesn't surprise me, because a few weeks ago, Palm had announced that their quarterly results were going to be not as much as they'd planned, and then everybody just like jumped ship, and stock prices tanked under $10. And then apparently yesterday, Josh Rubinstein talked to the investors and was like, yeah, we're going to have a little not as good quarter again as we predicted, and people are just jumping ship. And I don't know what's going to happen. And I had heard an idea. I won't say it's a rumor because that would be shameless rumor mongering. But I had heard that there was a possibility of Google being interested in buying Palm because of their patent library.
Portfolio.
Their portfolio is so strong, which is one of the big reasons why you haven't seen an Apple versus Palm in lawsuit-wise.
Right.
That they're saying that Google is now kind of looking into like, hey, well maybe if we pick that up, then we're going to be a little bit more protected from Apple. So I'm very curious to see where that goes in terms of Android, but just in terms of cell phones and development.
Well, the interesting thing is that actually Apple's suing HTC, not Google directly. So they're sort of going after, they're not going after the general. They're going after
the little guy who doesn't have. HTC has the smallest patent portfolio out of all of the manufacturers, but I definitely think that would sort of be sort of an ace in the sleeve if Google were to own Palm and their patent portfolio. It would be interesting. And I have a Palm Pre. Like, full disclosure, everybody, I own a Palm Pre, and I love it. It's a great phone. It just wrong carrier. I mean, and to be fair, thank God somebody released a good smartphone on Sprint because, man, I was waiting forever.
Yeah.
But wrong carrier, bad marketing. I'm sorry, like the weird, creepy girl for the first 9 months of that phone. Nobody even knew what the phone did. And one of the things is about Apple is, while some people may not like the phone or the hardware or the software or just Apple itself or whatever, they have great marketing. They have excellent marketing.
Yes,
all their commercials do is show what the phone does.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. There's no stories. It's a person holding the phone.
There's an app for that.
There's an app for that, exactly. And so yeah, Palm, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, but they've kind of carved it out for themselves. I mean, this is it's not really a surprise.
Yeah, and they made some comment the other day that I thought was sort of a low blow, where they were like, well, if we had released the Pre before the Droid in Q4 of last year, and it would have been so much better.
Yeah, I read that too.
Right.
Would have totally saved the
I
company, and I don't know if I believe that, just
buy
because.
That for a second.
Because the Pre is a. I'm sorry if guys own the Pre. The Pre is a girl phone. Like it's pretty and it's rounded and it's very feminine looking.
It's not a manly phone like this phone.
It's not a manly brick like the Droid. It's like you could kill somebody.
The phone
with that
your
thing.
phone could smell like.
Yeah.
Or the iPhone I paid extra for.
Oh, you get a little cracked.
Fancy.
With
crack.
that, yes.
I don't know if you can see it, but it's nice and cracked.
That's fabulous.
Now. Happened to Mahalo.
It's not my fault. Don't sue me. So I think that, I mean, it's interesting that you bring up that Google may buy them for their patent portfolio.
It's
Palm
an
is
interesting
an old
idea.
company,
Yeah.
so that means that their patent portfolio goes back, I guess, probably at least 20 years. I'm thinking they're at least 20 years old at this point.
It's a really sizable patent portfolio, and it would be interesting to see in the next, I would say, year to year and a half, if Palm does not pull some miracle play.
Yeah.
I mean, they would need a miracle, and they really put all their stock into
Why have they not
WebOS.
Why have they not glommed onto Android, do you think?
I think that they really thought that they were going to change the game with WebOS. And to be fair, I love WebOS. I love the card system. I absolutely love I love the way that it functions. Everything is really smooth. I love everything about it. It's just that the phone was released in between this sort of after iPhone 3GS,
Right.
but before Android, and so it's only got a 3-megapixel phone or camera.
Right.
It didn't have video recording until 3 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
Very small things, but things that
those
are
are very big
really
things.
necessary
The
for a
video's
user.
huge.
Yeah, huge deal. And I waited forever for video, and finally I'm just like, oh, finally I can have video. Geez. But even then, it's like, they waited so long, and I felt like they kind of released the Pre at a time where it was so right in between that sort of next step in terms of cell phone and mobile development and operating systems for cell phones, that they just really missed out on all of the things they could have done with the Pre. And it was ahead of, for me, I personally think it was way ahead of the iPhone 3GS because of the multitasking, and it's a great operating system.
I know, but as a user, I care less about the multitasking than I do about the camera and the video.
Right.
So
When
I want
you
to
care
record
about
video. I want to
basic necessity in a phone. And they just sort of were like, well, we're so excited about WebOS, we're going to dump all our money into that, and we're not going to worry about that until later. We're just going to do an over-the-air update.
Yeah, no.
And it really turned a lot of people off. And a lot of people went to the Hero on Sprint. A lot of people were like, forget it, I'm going to the Hero or I'm going to the Moment. Yeah. And I have lots of friends who tried the Pre and they hated it. And they were just like, well, I'm out. And for me, I kept my Pre because I like having a physical keyboard. But I'll tell you what, that HTC Supersonic is supposedly being announced this weekend for Sprint. I'm jumping ship. I mean, I want a 4G WiMAX phone. I'm bye. See you later, Palm. I love my Pre, but
I don't blame you at all.
Adios. So when we got I'm very curious as to your opinion on this because Slingbox is coming to Android this summer.
Oh yeah.
And having streaming video access to your media center, yes, please.
It's awesome, yeah. The big question I have is the price point. On iPhone, it's like $30 just for the app, and once you get the Slingbox, I mean, my opinion is it's free. It's my video stream. I'm piping it, to my laptop wherever I am, and I'd pay $5, but 30. So we'll see where they come out at.
You almost wonder if they're gonna I mean, if I were Slingbox, I would just roll that $30 into the price of the Slingbox, and then be
Well-
like, and you get the app for free if you have an Android phone.
Right.
If they, well, the real challenge is if they can somehow get video advertising in, it will more than pay for itself.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's, I think they don't want to eat the
Maybe-
cost of the bandwidth. So I
Maybe
don't,
before it boots up, like
Right.
as it's booting up, you see a short 15-second
something
commercial
like that.
or something.
Yeah. So I
That's
mean,
interesting.
I can, you know, so it seems like if you're going to charge a lot, it's still probably not going to cover, you know, your expenses for those who use the app a lot. So.
Right.
But man,
Depends,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
Well, then also the
Access to
video's
the
not going
sling?
through your own CDN or anything.
Still pretty awesome. You could just be sitting there and watching.
use
at
it
home.
as your
Yeah.
remote, pull up
Fantastic.
wherever you need to, and be like, hey,
Well,
I
I
want to
was-
watch this show that
Just
I've...
some interesting news. I was speaking with Akamai for several hours on Monday, just getting the lowdown on their kind of HD video strategy. So already broadband, they've already penetrated that. iPhone looks like the next on their radar is the Android, and that's
Very nice.
based on, you know, market share of devices and all that. So that, you know, if Akamai is getting in the game, looks like, you know, either costs or the use of video will be much more heavy. on
Yeah, Akamai
Android.
being a CDN for folks who
Yeah,
don't know.
content distribution network. They do lots of things, but video is one of them.
Videos where they make the bucks.
Yeah.
But and then also, finally, Google Buzz has sort of been has gotten a very tepid response from the nerd community as a whole. But now Google Buzz got its own widget.
They did.
Mark, do you think this is going to finally get Google Buzz rolling, or do you think people
Well, I
are just
think-
going to ignore it?
Well, I think that, I mean, well, first of all, it's another interesting example of Google using the portfolio approach to sort of push their agenda, right? So the goal of Buzz is to try to grab land, if you will, from Facebook and Twitter.
Right.
And their first shot across the bow is to put it inside of Gmail. Thereby, you know, everyone already has Gmail.
Right.
A lot of
It's
already
people
built
have
in,
Gmail. So
right.
you already have a friend network ostensibly built in. Now they're putting it on the desktop or the phone top, if you will, on the Android devices.
Right.
So there's just, you know, one click button away. Nobody else can do something like that, right?
Right,
So
right.
you know, they're in email now. They're on the phone top. I don't think. My guess is that it will help, but I don't think it's a game changer in the sense that it will be the deciding blow that will push it over the edge, and Twitter will vanish, and now Buzz will rule the world. I don't think that's happening.
Well, they're also tied together now as well. You know,
Yeah.
I update my Facebook, it does my Twitter and my LinkedIn, or
Right.
vice versa. You know, so it's more of like I mean, I don't really update my Buzz. I update my Twitter, and then it gets in my
And then,
Buzz.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's how mine, yeah.
Personal
that's how
stuff
I
on
use
just
mine.
other people on Gmail, otherwise. But
Well, Buzz is, I mean, Twitter is good enough for what I need. 140 characters
Right.
is
Yeah.
good enough 99% of the time.
Right.
with
Yes, it
Shiple,
doesn't
yeah.
do threading, but I don't really care most of the time.
Then, yeah, no.
You know, and so a lot of people are saying, oh, in Buzz, you get more intelligent discourse. And you do, but most discourse is not intelligent, to be honest.
Right.
I was gonna say I don't have
So-
those friends. Like
Yeah.
I
mean,
don't have those
Scoble
friends
has
having that
those friends,
conversation.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Jason has those friends.
Jason has those friends. Intelligent discourse. I don't have those friends.
I had those friends.
I have some of those friends,
I
but
had
My
them
friends and
until
I-
Google Buzz got too long, and I had to turn off their Buzz feeds because I was
Yeah.
blocking everything else.
so basically
got
you
crazy.
got out Buzz. So you were,
I got out Buzz, yeah. And it was those people you don't know so well, but they say interesting things, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
You know,
Of
okay,
just
too much.
mundane. Yeah, like there. And I have a problem with that too. Like where it's. I always feel like I'm drowning my friends in my Buzz. Like I'm just like I'm
Right.
so sorry. Like this is like the 19th tweet that I put up
Yeah.
today, and so I know I promote the show and I promote this and I promote that, but I'm really sorry, everybody. And everyone's like, "Geez, Ashley, like let it go.
Right,
like
yeah.
please stop.
I'll just
Can't
turn
read
you off.
anything else." Yeah, exactly. Just shut it off.
But Buzz has been a lot more successful than Wave. I mean, I think
big
everyone has
way
to
more
give,
successful. Yeah.
You have to give them that for sure. So
I think it's just better built.
A
And
Wave
well, and
widget.
being built into, like you said, being built into Gmail.
yeah,
Instant
instant network.
Instant
So, yeah.
I
network.
kind of wonder why they didn't do it like a year or two ago. You know, maybe Twitter just had that critical
Yeah,
mass, and it was, so we got to compete.
Oh, we got to compete. We got to develop this right now.
You know, hard to say. Hard to say what goes on.
I don't want
in
to
their
say it's
heads.
easy for Google, but relatively speaking, it seems easy for Google.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, I don't think it's a very complex, you know,
Yeah.
bit of
Like-
software for the most part.
Yeah, Google would be the company that would like pull a Jurassic Park and create a dinosaur out of like DNA.
Wave.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're.
Yeah, well, Wave was-
This is the
nobody knew what
company
it
that
was.
was. Yeah, nobody. I had seen it for like 30 seconds, and I was like, "What is this?"
Maybe
and
a
then it
Wave
was already.
widget
Oh, it's
would be
lame.
useful.
Like we're done. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
a widget, some kind of like an
Quarter
app
wave.
that's more like.
Well, okay, so here's the difference between somebody like Google and Facebook, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And so Facebook it's made for people. I mean, it's just all the little nice things in there. Like, for example, when there's a comment, they put a little face, and you put your face and a little line where your comment goes, right? So they invite you in. They basically pull you into writing a comment before you even realize what you're doing, right? They're just very good at those little touches, those little human touches, right?
Yep.
Google, on the other hand, releases something like Wave, which is, total techno nerd kind of collaboration tool thingamabob, right? Nobody knows what it is. A comment box with my face on it that's blank. I know what I do. I'm supposed to type in that, right?
Or share on Facebook.
I think Buzz is definitely more. They're getting more right with the sort of human touch, but I still think where Google's falling down is really that getting those niceties, those people details right. They're not people.
Well, massive easy automation of daily tasks like Gmail and all the Google apps and all that is great, but then it's that level of complexity that somehow Twitter is captured.
Twitter and Facebook both have captured. They know what the person on the street thinks and how they operate. So.
Captured the imagination of the street user, which is like paramount.
Yes.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
So, but well, I believe that is all of our opening banter, and it's it's time for App of the Week. So let's hit that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And this week's App of the Week is we pre-taped. So we're going to roll that in, our Skype pre-tape. Are we gonna do that now?
Yes.
Well, it's time for our App of the Week, and we are pre-taping.
No, we're doing this live.
This is live.
Right,
we changed our clothes really fast.
Really fast. I know, it's amazing.
Really fast.
In fact, I'm wearing the same clothes I wore in cloud computing. It's weird.
It's so strange.
I know.
You went back in time.
I did.
Like 88 miles an hour. Our App of the Week this week is Fly Screen. And we have you created Fly Screen, the creator of Fly Screen, Itamar Weisbrod, from Israel, coming to us all the way from Israel. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And Fly Screen, for those of you who are uninitiated, is an app where you can put your favorite web services on your phone's sleep screen. So instead of having to go into your phone and unlock it and do all that stuff, you can see whatever your favorite content is right up front.
While your phone's sleeping.
While your phone is asleep.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, Itamar, why don't you tell us a little bit about Fly Screen, what's available for widgets, things like that?
Sure. So, like you said, Fly Screen is about letting users embed their favorite web content onto their phone's lock screen. This kind of came out of a frustration of even though there are great browsers on phones like the iPhone or even on the Nexus One here, it's still a pain to go visit the same 5 or 6 sites that I go to all the time for news and sports or blogs, things like that. So we kind of had the idea of kind of changing the paradigm of embedding this web content onto the lock screen. So it's kind of the first thing you see before you even open your phone, and kind of have it surfed up for you. So if you download Fly Screen now, we include different categories: news, sports, entertainment, technology, things like that. There's Twitter, Facebook. We just had put in our Foursquare integration last week, and there's even just custom RSS feeds you can plug in. So basically, you can make Fly Screen emulate your normal mobile browsing habits, if you will.
Very nice. And you are you're one of the co-founders of CellLogic, which is the creator of Fly Screen. Is that right?
Yep, that's true.
And did you guys start CellLogic just for Android, or are you developing across multiple platforms?
Yeah, good question. We actually started on Symbian. And and then Symbian was our first launch along with the LV Store in May. And to be honest, we've taken our app back to the drawing board. Because kind of going to Android after that is such a different experience. And at the moment, we're basically live on Symbian and Android, and there will be other platforms in the future.
So, question. Tell me, what is the Android penetration right now in Israel? Because I have no sense of, I can tell you in Santa Monica, who's sort of got Android devices, got iPhones. Right. Nobody's got Symbian. or
Right.
at least not no one I know anyway. What is the
Right.
penetration like there for Android?
Well, it's a good. Well, first of all, I just want to point out we're based in Israel and New York. I'm in between the two. I'll put it this way: when we were just on Symbian, I was in Europe a lot more.
Yeah.
But now I find myself in the States a lot more. And but in Israel, it's actually not such a big market. I think they launched the Samsung Galaxy here. It didn't sell too well. I hear through the grapevine that the Droid is coming, but Israel's a small market, notorious for getting things a tad late. Why they go with the Droid, I have no idea. It could be Motorola actually has a pretty strong presence here.
Yeah.
But I do know that the carriers are looking to make a larger Android push. And if it's going to be with the Droid, if that's going to be the catalyst, I guess we still have yet to see. We're a little behind, but we've yet to see what kind of push that they're really going to do. But like I said, ever since Symbian was mainly we had a very European-based user base, and since we launched on Android back in October, it's been let's say 90% based in the States.
Now, are you? Forgive me. I'm like not. I don't develop, so I'm. This is very. This might seem like a really dumb question, and if it is, you can tell me it's not a good question or a viable question. But
I'm Canadian. I would never say that.
But for 2.1 is being rolled out finally on a lot of the phones. Like we're supposed to be.
And the Droid is supposed to be coming.
The Droid. It's supposed to be coming tomorrow, which is yesterday.
Yeah, right.
The Droid 2.1 was updated.
It's fantastic, yeah.
But are you developing specifically for a particular? Like, are you going to be utilizing any features in 2.1 for Fly Screen, or is it just like generally like this is the app, this is how it works, it'll run across all Android?
Right. No, that's actually an excellent question because I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago we had to, officially drop support for 1.5. Just for what we wanted to do, 1.5 just couldn't handle it. And, I'm trying to be diplomatic here, but the official response is, so we should be then maintaining several versions. And we're still a small company, limited resources. Mm-hmm. So we had to make the decision, even if we're going to assume that most of the 1.5 phones are going to be upgraded eventually, Flash Screen only runs on 1.6 and higher. As for 2.1 specifically, that's also the issue that, like something like live wallpapers, which we could easily support in theory, won't work with 1.6.
Right.
So we're kind of, in the middle, and we always have to balance different features. The truth is that Flash Screen has a very 2.1 look because we give the lock screen, we make it look like the 2.1 lock screen with the two sliders. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of people on 1.6 actually like that because they get that cool, unlocky thing. But yeah, unfortunately, we're victim to the fragmentation already. Again, apparently there's going to be a solution to this. But yeah, we had to make the hard choice, and it's unfortunate because people are buying new devices now, like the Backflip or the Click or the Galaxy, things like that. And I field all the customer service emails, if you will, bad and good. And a lot of them are, why can't I see Flash Screen in the market? And I just have a template, answer, like you're probably running a 1.5 device.
Right. And how does in general, like, your development team feel about the way Google is or the Android platform is rolling out those updates, like because there's so much fragmentation with different phones, and like they're saying now like that the tattoo is not going to be supported 2.1, and like first it was everybody will get it, and now it's like, well, some phones no, and we're really sorry about that. Like, how does your development team feel about just the general overlay of the land, as it were, in terms of the sort of like, oh, well, Droid might get 2.1 on Thursday, and then this one will get it 2 months later, instead of just a full at the same time over the air.
Right. It's kind of a mix of a little bit of frustration, but to be honest, nothing bad about Symbian. But coming from Symbian development, Android is a breeze, right? It's so much more pleasant. It's a modern operating system, very app and open centric. So that was a pleasure. But these fragmentation issues are, they're frustrating. The truth is, look, when we reach out for help from Google, they're pretty good about what they can do, but you have to understand that once the OEMs get their hands on an open source OS, they can go nuts with it. They can do whatever they want. They can do things that will break apps. There's not a lot Google can do except strongly advise people not to do that. The truth is, from a purely consumer point of view, at this point, I would stick to whatever are the Google sanctioned devices, like Nexus One, things like that, because that they're going to get the updates first. Those are going to be like the flagship phones.
Good point.
Even though with the Droid, I wouldn't feel so bad either, because it's a top seller, so that Verizon, Motorola are gonna work as fast as they can to get updates out.
Right.
But it's frustrating, and the truth is that in my humble opinion, for what it's worth, they kind of that these OEMs are gonna go do whatever they want with the operating system to an extent, right? Motorola has the Moto Blur,
Right.
HTC Sense, things like that. At least kind of strongly advised from the beginning some sort of standardization, release Motorola development tools or HTC development tools.
That's a good point.
Yeah, well, for an example, Fly Screen is actually featured on the Droid. Verizon puts in their own custom, column in the market. We were one of the first 15 in there. No one told us. I mean, it was a great compliment from Verizon, but we never saw a 2.0 SDK. So
wow.
got a ton of people downloading it, and it was all broken and completely messed up. Yes.
See, this is the cacophony of Android. This is what I keep complaining about every damn show.
Well, this is what everybody is they're concerned about it. There's a lot of concern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fragmentation is a problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
So now, are you guys selling? I assume you're selling this, right? This is not a free.
It is free.
Oh, it is free.
It is free. Yeah.
Totally free. So okay, so what are you guys going to do down the road? How are you guys going to make money?
What I could say about that is, we've seen pretty good success in the Android market, and the idea basically is for Fly Screen to be a mobile syndication platform in its own right. I mean, the widgets are getting a pretty good amount of daily exposure, or average daily exposure, and what we offer to content providers is basically the ability to take their content out of their WAP page and embed it onto the top layer. So there's a lot of monetization possibilities when you have that kind of data exposure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to eventually charge the content providers, basically.
Yeah, we're working on a couple of deals, and each one has their own way of doing things. Let's say how they like to monetize from their mobile content. And Fly Screen's just a great flexible way of doing that or contributing.
Because last week we had on Eddie Kim, and he's making $17,000 a month. So I mean, he's just a kid. So I just want to make sure you guys know that.
Now I think it's I like that. I like it being more about the people who, like, for example, like a featured Fly Screen widget or whatever. If Twitter wanted to do a featured Fly Screen widget, as opposed to charging the consumer, you're now charging the other end
that makes more
to
sense.
get in on your action, which, because it's free, makes Fly Screen sort of a must-have if you've got 1.6 or higher.
Yeah, exactly. I mean it's basically I mean, people could define it in different ways. A glorified mobile browser, if you will, right? Because it's my own personal take on how I feel mobile browsing, or at least the beginning of mobile browsing, because I I like reading different sites. I don't necessarily read full articles of each one, and it is very difficult to go through 10 different websites on a mobile browser.
Yeah.
But on FlyScreen, you could just kind of flip through, and then you decide when you want to click through. That's a lot more compatible with just mobile surfing in general.
What reminds me?
So yeah,
You guys are probably going to remember this, but there was a thing called Pointcast back in the day.
yeah.
Do you remember Pointcast?
I personally did before my time or during my I was alive, but
Yeah.
Me too. I
You're
was
watching. I
alive
know.
too.
I know.
It's
So
fine.
once again, I'm showing my age, but yeah, Pointcast was a very early part of the internet. It was basically a screensaver that would pull web content. Actually, it wasn't even web content, just content from multiple different places and show it in one place on the screen. And everyone went, "Oh my God, this is amazing! This is the next stage from the browser." And it was out of the browser browsing, if you will.
Right.
And in a way, you guys have created Pointcast on Android, which is brilliant, by the way. Just I'm saying that with love, not with oh, you copied those guys. It's what's old is new again, and you guys have done a great job. And I don't think you guys copied Pointcast consciously, but it is the same sort of thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's in essence there's similarities, right? It's that it's not on a computer with a 56K modem,
Right.
Thankfully that we have that covered. So maybe the timing is a little better and the devices are different. But yeah, that is a great analogy, and that's kind of what we're going for, the ambient information, and we still have more. We still have, more bugs to fix, more things to tweak, but
I love that term, ambient information. That's great.
Ambient information.
Yeah, keep that.
And it's so succeant. Like
Absolutely.
That's exactly
it's beautiful.
what it is.
Well done.
Thank you.
It's I was gonna say the fly screen reminds me. It's very reminiscent of of WebOS for Palm, where you have the card system and you can flip through. But instead of it being an active thing where you have to open an app and get the card system going, it's all, as you said, ambient.
yeah, and that's the idea. I mean, once we have one of the nice things when you're onto something is when you launch it, you get that hardcore group of users that are you could really rely on, and they're great beta testers too. But you'll notice that once you use FlyScreen, and then if you stop using it for whatever reason, something feels lacking, because then going to the browser feels cumbersome, right? Even we're saving clicks, which may sound trivial, but on a mobile device, the difference between one just to kind of open up your screen, and 5 or 6 or even more is a lot. It's a lot.
Especially when people want their information like 2 seconds ago.
Yep.
They don't want it in 5 seconds. They want it now. So that's great. Well, I think that's all the time we have.
Yep.
But I mean, I just want to thank you so much. You were saying it's the late wee hours of the night.
Morning.
In the morning,
yeah.
It is tomorrow technically.
Yes.
This is the
Which is
startup
today
life.
by the time this airs.
Exactly.
Yeah, no problem. This is a startup life, and I'm a big fan of the show, so happy to come on and honored to have been asked.
Well, thank you. And for all of our viewers out there, you can get FlyScreen on the Android market. You can also find FlyScreen on Twitter @FlyScreen. And Itamar Weisbrod, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Well, that was our app of the week, FlyScreen, and again, changed really fast. Good job.
Yeah, you like that? I get my red shirt
quick.
on now, exactly.
You didn't have to change. You're lucky.
I know. I just ran out of the studio.
Yeah, he just hung out and
Got some
everything.
water.
But it's time for the news. Let's do the news.
Okay, so here's the first article. Google TV. As soon as this summer, Google, in partnership with Intel and Sony, could be bringing a Google TV to your living or family room television. What is Google TV? A better question is, what isn't it? It's based on Android, open to third-party developers, web browsing, notifications, Twitter, YouTube, all the things you expect. Google, Sony, and Intel have already tapped Logitech to make some peripherals, like speakers.
So to be clear, I think it is a set-top box. It's actual physical hardware. I don't know if that was clear just yet.
Oh, sorry.
Physical.
So is it sort of similar to what Apple has for like Apple TV?
What I've read is it kind of compared Apple TV to like a hobbyist kind of thing. So I think the way it's being pitched is competing with Motorola for your cable or DirecTV dollars. Basically, was my impression.
Little by little.
Yeah.
Sure.
Google's tentacles are creeping into everyone's life. Yeah.
I know.
I mean, in a kind of a good way. I sort of like it. I get a little nervous sometimes with the privacy and
we all know that.
Right.
Yeah, but it's coming.
Yeah.
We can't stop it. So you can't stop the signal.
Better that's on an open source platform. I think probably we'd all agree on that than one that's closed like Apple.
Right. I would much rather have it on open source.
But I'd be curious, like, does it operate with the Vizio, those Vizio TVs with widgets in them now, or Fios widgets? Like, how do they relate?
Yeah, see, that's what because I have Fios at home, and the whole, Fios, the on-demand, like, how is that all going to interact with each other? And, I know they had mentioned the possibility of, like, your Android phone being your remote, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm very curious as to how they're sort of going to work with all the different cable, satellite, Fios, like, providers.
Right, yeah, like I know homebrew people have done this, but like a set-top box where you can pay your cable bill, get your regular cable or your premium channels, but then also like, oh, here's YouTube or here's Hulu, and easy mode.
Right.
That doesn't require me to hook my laptop up with HDMI and then, oh well, okay, now we got to switch back to TV,
Right. Well, there's a couple other things I'll just read them off here. They're claiming it'll do real-time subtitles and closed captioning based on Google Translate.
That's going to be badass.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
Overlays is going to be.
That's going to be a big deal. I know that we had read that on Fandroid. I wanted to give them a little shout out because they really, they had some really cool ideas as to what Google TV could be capable of.
Yeah, PHA.
PHA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fandroid.
So some other things that they noted: the ability to see what your Facebook, Twitter, etc. friends are watching, and basically to watch TV with them. So sort of shared viewing, right? So Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Which is
there's a lot happening
awesome.
with that right now too. Shared viewing.
Live audio texting chat rooms based on all other people watching the same program, or just limited to your friends. So maybe again Mystery Science Theater 3000, but you don't know those people perhaps.
Yeah, almost it would be interesting to see something along the lines of actually what we have for This Week in Android for our website, where you have the live stream of the show, and then to your right there, it's a Twitter feed.
Yeah.
And you can all join a room like almost like Drew Olenoff's thing, where you can all join a chat room of one show, and then everyone can talk about it while it's running.
Yeah,
so
that'd be awesome for like Lost or something like that.
Pop-up video for it's sort of like a commentary on the side.
And that one loops like every hour they start the show over.
Yeah.
Right, so you kind of sync up because the whole concept of like you be home at 7 and you be home at 7. Well, I know it doesn't work in California. East Coast is a little more on time, but Xbox, Netflix has shared viewing. I've never tried it, but I'm always curious if it's like their games. Put the headset on,
and then everyone can talk to each other while it's running.
Right.
But then you get the person who won't shut up, and they're just like, dude, taking the headset off. Like,
exactly.
I can't listen to you.
Or the little kid. Like in your first-person shooter, you're like, quiet, man.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, like, my education is in television production, and I'm very curious as to how they're going to do residuals and royalties with something like that. How are they going to give? Because already there's been such a fight with the writer's strike and everything. How are the studios going to respond to Google TV?
Right.
And in addition to that, how are creative people, writers, actors, or anybody above the line who get paid residuals, how are they going to receive payment for those if it repeats every hour on the hour for maybe 24 hours?
Right.
Maybe it'll be in a contract like that. Well, we can replay it as many times as you want for the first 24 hours, but then after that you receive residuals.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because you can measure exactly how many people watch how much of each show or episode or whatever versus the cable model. I don't quite know what the analytics are, but broadcasts, who knows? We're guessing.
Well, the interesting thing is with Nielsen and some of those people don't want the system to be changed. They like it.
No.
Well, that's where they're
because then you can make it you're dividing by zero. You can make it anything you want. Right.
Well, and it's such a small. The thing is Nielsen. Like, I get really fired up about Nielsen.
Apparently, yes, please.
Yeah, I get really upset because the thing is it's so archaic. It's we're gonna give you a box. It's still a box you put on top of your TV and you push buttons as you're watching, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, especially now where we have all of these abilities to pull information immediately from users. Why not have these Nielsen, even if it's Nielsen, that's fine. I think they're worried that they're going to sort of lose their contracts with the studios, and I think Nielsen is going to become more and more obsolete unless they change. It will become so dire that they have to change.
Well, then you have people like Google with AdWords who are doing massively targeted campaigns, right? And it's got to be, Google obviously is all about advertising. 95% of the video. Connect that to video.
And CPMs are higher.
Huge.
CPMs for video are,
huge,
the supply, like demand far outstrips supply right now. So
yeah.
I'm very curious to see how Hulu will also respond to go to, because I mean, Hulu's the studio's internet television. I mean, they're barely okay with it as it is, and so now with Google, I would love to be a fly on the wall in like Jeff Zucker's office. Yeah. So, but I get all riled up about television stuff because I love TV. Yeah. So.
I hear you. Okay, let's go to the next story. So we have one device, now we have another device. Android-powered motor car gets the production line. So it's the Roe 350. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It was ROEWE. Hailed as the first Android-powered automobile, this here car has just hit the production line, and it will make its debut next month at the Beijing Auto Show.
So excited.
Yeah, so basically there's an integrated DVD and GPS navigation system that runs on Android. The system will also pull down real-time traffic reports, show you the most effective route from A to B to C, whatever. You'll be able to check your Gmail. You'll be able to like be in chat.
Is it a Wi-Fi hotspot?
You're a traveling Wi-Fi hotspot. Exactly.
Then you could just drive up to an Android-enabled vehicle, take it over.
Do
some hack into the car or something.
Yeah, if you could root that car, that'd be pretty crazy.
Right. Well, smart cars since the beginning, right?
Exactly.
My big thing is can you imagine LAR on something like that?
Oh my God! Well, they're talking about like there was an article today about the heads-up dashboard.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I saw it go by real fast.
I think it's GM.
I think it was GM.
The heads-up dashboard. Barb had mentioned that to me, and I went and saw it, and man, that is cool.
Yeah. So basically, like the Terminator view of the world, right? So the augmented reality, right in your dashboard as you're driving.
The Road Warrior is coming. Like it's going to be like if the apocalypse ever happens, like I feel assured in the fact that I'm going to have a really sweet car.
You will have a sweet car.
To troll around the post-apocalyptic Los Angeles.
Whether you have any gas or not, I don't know.
I won't have any gas. I'll have to probably kill a few people. I have to fight for some gas. But other than that, like I'll have a really sweet car powered by Android.
Yes, be in the Thunderdome.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right, so next article, Sprint getting Nexus 1, completing nationwide U.S. carrier bingo. It's official now. The Nexus 1 is coming to all 4 nationwide carriers in the United States. Sprint just announced they will officially support the Nexus 1, and we should have pricing information and the actual launch date by the next TWiA.
Which is this weekend.
This weekend, exactly.
Very exciting.
The announcement comes just one day after Google began selling a Nexus 1 that supported AT&T. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I remember the last show I was in, which was forever ago. But yeah, so it's great that Sprint is now finally on board.
Finally.
Yeah.
They're like, they have such great rates and like plans. Like, I mean, I pay nothing I have a friend who has a Droid and he pays a ridiculous amount more than I do a month for almost exactly the same plan.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the first show.
But it's the phones.
Yeah.
They don't ever have the right phone. And then when they do get the great phones, they're too late. I know. They got to jump. They got to get on it. I know. Jump on board, Sprint. I'm talking to you.
I did have some numbers.
You have numbers?
Well, if you compare iPhone.
Did you prepared?
I did.
Wow.
Okay. I know. I don't normally do that.
Please.
I do startups, right?
Please, regale us with your numbers.
Well, okay, so million iPhones sold in about 74 days.
Yeah.
And so at 74 days, there were 135,000 Nexus 1s. So it's not selling as well.
The Nexus 1 is not doing well, but Android in general is doing well.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And also the Nexus 1 is not available in store.
Well, that was your point. Yeah.
Google.
So that's why I was bringing that to kind of compare, not having the right phone or the phone you want, and all these. Do I go to AT&T, break my contract, go to Sprint, Verizon?
You wonder if they're going to have the Nexus 1 in store with Sprint. Maybe.
They really need to do that, I think. And I think they're realizing that they need to do that.
People need to see the phone. They want to touch it. They
also want to go back to a store if something breaks.
Yep.
Right.
Now I know where the person is that gave me the phone. I can bring the physical phone and say, "Hey, dude, this thing doesn't work anymore. What's up?"
Right.
Yeah.
And whereas with Google, who do you talk to? There's no person there. So.
Yeah. Now they have barely the phone support. They just barely got that.
They're getting that going.
But
it's not the same thing.
Yeah. One of our viewers was asking, with all the other great phones coming, is it too little, too late for Nexus 1 for all 4 carriers? For me, I say no.
I say no too.
No.
Because it's such a great phone.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's the best Android phone. Like just what it's capable of, the look of it, the silver one that they
Yes.
just this slinky silver one. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that
That's
one
pretty
comes.
nice.
Yeah, it is the best phone for Android that's out right now. And we were talking about how Itamar in his interview had mentioned that it's made by Google, which means all of the updates.
Are
They're
you gonna
going to
get them
want
first?
to push those
Exactly.
to Nexus One first because
Yeah.
they're distributing that phone. So for me, like, I mean, that seems, if I could choose between any phone, that's the phone I would pick.
Right.
Because they're
Right.
going to want to push 2.1 as fast as possible. Like,
Yeah, everything will, and Google specified all, that phone
comes with.
specifically for the Android operating system.
Right.
So,
Does that phone, do you think, have a stereotype yet? And by that I mean like BlackBerry, traditionally more business-oriented
Yeah.
users. Palm, I think, was more business, and then has tried to stretch and kind of fall.
They did that ad campaign about being the phone for moms or something. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, go on.
And then, iPhone and just Macs in general, starting with Creative, but had that whole sleek form factor and really kind of revolutionizing the smart device. Do you guys have an opinion on if, I don't want to peg these Android users, there's so many kinds of phones as well, but is one more better for business?
I can
one
tell you
better
that the Droid phone, we actually talked about this in the previous show, this phone right here, the Droid, Motorola Droid, is a dude phone. It's like something like 75, 70, it's almost 80% of the owners are guys.
Okay.
So this is definitely, we call it the Dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
The Motorola Dude phone. So
Motorola dude.
I tend to consider the Nexus One to be sort of the Alienware laptop of like computers, where it's
Yeah.
like the highest end, most techy. Like if you are really into technology and cell phones, like that's the phone you're gonna have.
Yeah.
Like you're not like, because I don't see a lot of my really technologically like apt friends
Yes.
having iPhones. They're like, it's not enough for me.
Which,
Well, I disagree, actually. A lot of people I
Yeah.
know have iPhones, but they also have a Droid. It's pretty
See,
much,
yeah, they have-
a lot of people
right.
are like, double fisting on the phone.
this
Right.
is a little
So
weird.
a lot of that, South by Southwest, where we were just
A lot of
That's-
two
there's
there's
phoners.
a lot of that at South by
A lot of
Southwest.
two-phoners, but I gotta say, I was surprised, and it might be CTIA coming up, at just the lack of Android news or booths or people pitching stuff.
Yeah,
and even
it is
Akamai
weird.
is like, well, our next platform's Android, and that was just at a vendor meeting.
Yeah.
And
There was no
yeah,
fanfare
I
with
I
Android.
I thought there'd be more.
Well, I think everybody is focused more on the iPad right now.
Right, and so
Like,
yeah,
that's the big
and they're focused on
news.
CTIA.
You're talking
There's
about it at South by
at
Southwest?
South by Southwest yeah.
Specifically, yeah. So those of you who don't know, we were at a big conference, Squishy
Yes.
and I were actually almost everyone in the interactive universe.
I got,
know,
except
I hate
for
to
me.
say it,
I
except
got
for
to
you.
stay at
I know.
home.
You're probably the
saw-
only person in the interactive
I stayed
universe
at home
that
and
was not there.
cried. That's what I cried.
We were all there.
Over
We
a
all
South
had-
by Southwest
I had a
show.
killer time. How about
I
you?
had a great time.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, but nonetheless, high concentration of technology people, primarily from New York, San Francisco, probably some Seattle,
Yep.
and Los Angeles, and
Texas.
all of us sort of in Texas. We all know each other sort of, and we all sort
Yeah.
of converged, and it was like the gathering
Right.
in Highlander. Like we all just came to one
Exactly.
place.
It's kind of a
And,
creative crowd though as
we
well.
didn't fight, though,
Yeah, it was
unfortunately.
social media and creative, not as many like
Yeah.
if I wanted to go learn tech, I wouldn't go there. But
But if you want to make
and meet
connections,
people,
yes. If you're looking
Totally
to connect
place
or
to
get
go.
a
The
job
place
or
to
something
go.
like that,
That is the place
absolutely.
to be.
So basically there were a lot of, but you got to see what people were doing in terms of their practices with their phones, right?
Definitely.
People like Scoble, people like Leo Laporte, people like,
He's using Foursquare, Go Walla.
Go Wallace from Austin.
Go
so
Walla, all
I
those
hadn't,
things.
I try not to play all those games,
Yeah.
but I had to go Walla for a
You
while
had to do
when I
a
was
little,
there.
a little bit of it,
Yeah.
of course. So, but yeah, and just to finish the thought, I mean, most people that I saw had iPhone 3G or 3GS
Yeah.
and a Droid. Not a Nexus One, but a Droid specifically. So I'm not quite sure why that was.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to say marketing push.
Yeah, you might be right about
I've
that.
never once seen an ad on television, in a magazine, anything for Nexus One. I did
Yeah.
not even know about the phone until I started really delving into what was available in terms of Android phones. I was like, oh my God, like why isn't this phone being I mean, this phone is like for me, it's like that's like the king of phones. But
Yeah.
I think it's the marketing push, the huge marketing push that Verizon put behind the Droid.
Yeah, it was really big.
Everybody wants that phone. Is what is it like Droid does? That's a great marketing scheme.
Yeah,
Someone
was.
commenting on the battery life maybe being a reason as well.
Well, no, people are. I mean,
Interesting.
Not sure if it's for Nexus
not really.
versus Android.
Oh,
but.
sorry. Yeah, that may be true. But I mean, why people are using two phones is what I thought there was.
Oh, I thought it's
referring to.
because if you have an iPhone, AT&T blows chunks, and so
Well, that's
you
true.
need
Actually,
your,
AT&T
you need your
did-
BlackBerry or whatever
I
just
have
to
to be
make phone
fair.
calls.
All the bagging of AT&T, I bagged on AT&T every show. South by Southwest, they were awesome. The iPhone
Yeah,
worked
not too
beautifully.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, my experience was really good.
And well, you had Wi-Fi
3G,
everywhere.
yeah.
They put up
Wi-Fi
all
everywhere,
they put up
yeah.
a bunch of extra Wi-Fi
Cisco.
towers.
Well, they don't want to look bad. I
Right,
mean,
no.
yeah. So
Well,
that
they-
would be the first. That'd be the first thing on my agenda.
Yeah.
Like
They
this
put-
phone better work.
I do have some advice for
They put in
Android
the extra
developers.
effort. It showed.
I have advice for Android
Please.
developers. So as part of the, you pay all your money for a ticket, you get a bag of all this cool stuff. A company called Sponti, I think, launched their iPhone app. You're supposed to, you get this little rolling papers too, which I thought was a little odd. But get the app, sign up, and then post and shake it 3 times, and you get like a prize. You run the app, nothing happens. So the 5 people I talked to that even knew what it was, it didn't work at all.
Ugh.
Wow.
So I should Google that. I don't want to do it right now, but
Yikes.
figure out because that's like epic fail. We
It's
launched
an
at
epic
South
fail.
by, but nobody got to even try it.
Oh,
That's
man.
terrible.
So Android developers,
such a
make sure it
large
works
scale.
when it launches.
Yep.
Make sure it works. This seems
Yeah.
like a
Yeah,
good
I was actually
idea.
going to throw out one other set of numbers, just rolling back the conversation really quickly. The total cost of ownership of any Android device versus the iPhone is approximately half.
Really?
Over the life, it was like over a 2-year life.
Is that with the agreements
Yes, we
and
talked about
everything?
this in the
Yeah.
first show.
Okay.
That's why you don't know, because you weren't here for the first show.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically, yeah, total cost of ownership. So the cost of the phone, what you pay a
Service
month.
plan.
Yeah,
Plan.
exactly. So over a 2-year period, it's half, which that's crazy.
So if you factor that into your switching costs, if you're going to eat $100 or
Right.
$200 to
It's
switch,
really nothing.
Go for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
it could be cheaper to switch.
It absolutely is cheaper. So, and Bill Gurley made a basically famous venture capital guy. He wrote a blog post that it was probably a seminal blog post in my opinion, about how he believes the Android-based devices will just destroy the iPhone over the next 5 years, and that it'll be like an 85% market share capture, much like the PC did in the early days of the PCs versus the Mac.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with just the proliferation of just multiple devices
Right.
across all platforms. I mean, that's
exactly
the war
it.
of
It's the same
attrition.
thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
the iPhone has one phone.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they respond to Android in terms of will they roll out new phones. Like I know there had been a lot of talk about an iPhone Nano, like where it was a
Right.
smaller phone, had a little less going on. These are like I'm very curious to see if they respond in that way by releasing more phones. I don't think they will, but
I think I saw that in a Saturday Night Live sketch or something. So.
Yeah.
okay.
All right, moving right along here. Okay, Android graphics on the PS3 in 3 years. Imagination Technology, makers of the Power VR GPU chip that powers the Motorola Droid, said they will definitely have graphics comparable to the PlayStation 3 in 3 years. So they can predict this with certainty because the chips are already being designed right now, right? So chips have a very long sort of lead cycle. Yeah.
Can't believe that.
Yeah. So Motorola is the only ones who produce, or are the only ones who produce the Android phones with the Power VR chips inside. But they expect that other handset manufacturers like ATC, et cetera, will probably adopt them as well. So basically, I guess what it sounds like is we're going to be able to play, World of Warcraft at the same resolution on our device.
That's going to be crazy. I mean, being able to play something.
You'll be able to
like,
leave your house now.
Yeah, I know. Finally, be able to leave. Well,
Patch is a big World of Warcraft for us,
Well,
that's why.
but Blizzard is never going to bring World of Warcraft to console. But if I could play Dragon Age on my phone, I would leave my house more often.
Oh, there you go.
So yes, I'm a huge nerd. I'm sorry, everybody. Dragon Age Awakenings, I'm like obsessed. So I'm 3 years. Like it seems so far away, but it's just going to be here like that. And then it's going to be, it makes you think about the future of cell phones, like where we're going to be at in terms of mobile devices in 3 years.
Yeah.
What people are going to be using them for. I mean, even when we've had Dave and Lane from the Android App Show on, some of the uses that they've talked about in terms of like, you could use Android for this. Like, I'm just like, it will tweet you when your laundry's done. I'm just like, I would have never
No, who would have
thought of that. Who would have
exactly.
ever imagined that? So
I can't wait to tell the whole world my laundry's done. Just route that Twitter to
right
the-
into Buzz.
Yeah, right
It's
into
right into
Buzz,
Buzz.
yeah.
It'll tell you, hey, my
Trending
laundry's
topic,
done.
John's laundry.
Yes, exactly.
I hope not.
Squishy's clothes.
Me too. So, okay. I'm going to go off the script here because I found
That's fine,
I
yeah.
found 2 articles I thought were fairly interesting. All about forking fragmentation and that whole thing that's going on with Android.
Mm-hmm.
So Google knows that it has a problem right now. There are now actually 4 different shipping versions of Android right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Balkanization of
Yeah. So and we've talked about this before. I mean, I've got we didn't get our update this week.
No 2.1
We're all
for
angry,
you.
right? So Google can't control this, because Android is open source. So they cannot, just.
They can't strong arm anybody.
right.
Yeah.
So that was sort of number 1. Number 2, the second article. New round of Android smartphones hits the market. Google is drawing criticism from developers who say the company has strayed too far from the original source code. So not only is there fragmentation among Android versions of Android operating system, but now the Android operating system itself has forked and strayed from the original Linux kernel. So much so that that basically improvements to the Linux kernel
that's going to be bad.
that Android has done, the Linux community has not accepted it back.
Wow.
So it is now officially diverged. Yes. So the version of Linux that is now running on this is now,
so now you need
different.
Ubuntu, Android, CentOS,
Yeah,
Android.
so it's it's already gotten bad.
That could be
and
bad.
so we've talked about, on the show a couple times about sort of the downside of Android and the fact that it is so open that at least in the iPhone universe, this would never happen. You'd never have these kind of issues.
No.
In the Android universe now, you have all this splitting. If anything is going to kill Android, it's going to be this fragmentation, this disharmony, the fact that all these things float so far apart from one another that the apps cannot.
Well, Sprint or AT&T, they're going to compete for certain feature sets. They're going to have to disable or enable certain things.
Right.
Probably. I can't say for sure, but
But if you have such cacophony and versions that among different Android devices,
Man, that's not a good idea.
so that if my
Making
app
your
works on this
developers
one
mad.
but not that one.
Making your developers upset seems like
Well, your users
a really
too.
good way to
The users are
alienate
not-
both your users and your
Right.
and your development community.
So I still contend there has to be there has to be some way to for Android to truly succeed. I believe this is could kill it. It's that serious of an issue if it gets too far out.
well,
of
it
hand.
won't get to, I don't think it'd get to 85% market share like we were just saying a few minutes ago.
That's
If
exactly
it
right.
continues
Not
to
kill it, but
fragment.
it'll
Yeah.
like hit its peak around 40 or 50%, maybe something like that.
Right.
So, but I mean, the price difference alone obviously is enough to drive it up to that high. But and it's not so bad yet that the phone's unusable or the apps are largely unusable. If it gets there, then it could be really bad. So I don't know. I still contend that they need to rein this in. Do you guys? I guess you guys are agreeing.
I definitely. I mean, to a large extent. I mean, who doesn't love an open source platform? But on that same note, there's got to be some kind of. I mean, somebody had mentioned in our chat room, carriers have to go back to the main Google fork for basic security updates.
Right.
And that's all well and good, and I agree with that. But when you're, I mean, my big thing is when you've got 5, 6, or now we have 4. But I mean, what's going to happen in a couple months? 5, 6
it's so
versions
early.
of
That's
Android.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
it's so
It's
early in the
game.
life of Android.
And it's already forking left and right. And I'm saying this is a huge problem.
Right, and
They have
so
to address this.
I
Can't see
I
the
don't-
upside, let me say that.
Yeah, I can't see the upside of it, and I don't know if the answer is to, as you create phones, say they're set limits on what they're able to do, like with the tattoo. Maybe immediately just come right out and be like, look, this phone is only gonna support 1.5. It's not getting upgraded.
Well, back to the in 2 or 3 years PS3 style graphics. I can't imagine that's going to be on every phone.
It can't be.
But what would the impact of that be? Is it going to be so easy that they're just, we're going to build this phone, so we're just going to turn that thing off?
Right.
That's why it's
Or would it be more a specialized phone like
Right.
that Fender, the specialized Fender phone? It's more of a niche. Like I
Right.
know Sony's been talking about doing, a PSP phone or whatever.
Right.
So
Right.
and would it be something like that where it's more of a niche item where gamers will buy it but nobody else will? And even then, gamers probably won't buy it because they love big giant screens and keyboards and mice and everything. But yeah, no, I can't imagine in the end that being. Google's going to have to do something that organizes everything. And there's going to have to be some sort of organizational factor, and whether that's them distributing the phones themselves outside of the 4 national carriers and saying, okay, like the Nexus One, and saying, okay, the Droid now is we're going to distribute it through, HTC is going to distribute it through us. You have to buy this phone through Google. Or maybe Google will start their own carrier service at some point, and then it will become a little bit more unified.
They tried to get Spectrum for it a couple years ago.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how because they're thinking about it now. Obviously, if the news has come out that somebody's upset,
Yes.
we know this is a problem. I mean, obviously there are some people locked into a dark room with no windows, and they said, you better figure this out, otherwise you are not coming out.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that's the case.
I hope so.
All right. Next story. Google Maps updates to 4.1, account switching and live wallpaper. Google Maps went and updated itself to version 4.1 last night. I think it was last night.
It was a few nights ago. Yeah.
Okay. Bringing with it an updated search page, support for multiple accounts, a latitude widget, and the ability to make Google Maps your live wallpaper. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Very neat.
Let's see.
And they, I have a friend who just got that, and he loves it. He was just like, it is so cool.
So they got in the widget for Google Latitude, there's a social networking aspect that lets your friends see exactly where you are. So
That's the one I'm
Foursquare?
curious about. Yeah, and partially because iPhone, I think the GPS isn't running all the time. Or you can shut down the app or it goes to sleep, it's off. But with Android, my understanding is you can always have it running, and so.
Interesting.
And then again, the integration with Foursquare, the automatic integration with Goala or something seems.
Yeah, like if they were to buy Foursquare, and be like, we're just gonna make that a long new arm of Google. Like, it's another new arm of Google.
Well, they know where you are.
Yeah.
We know where you are. We know what you. I mean, man, it's getting more and more toward Minority Report, where they're going to be scanning your retinas.
They don't
know
need
where
to.
you are.
There's no need to scan your retina. They already know who you are.
They got ads coming at you,
specialized
to you. They know what you search for. I mean, man, it is going to get crazy in the next 15 years. I just can't even imagine what it's going to be like, even in 5 years.
Yeah, the Minority Report example is Google's all about advertising, so that is where they're going.
Yep.
Ultimately.
Good analogy.
So, all right, finally, Canada gets paid apps.
Hey.
Can't believe it. That's
all right, eh?
Break out your finest syrup and a nice Molson, because paid apps have finally made their way to the Great White North. So we talked about this a couple shows ago, I think. I was actually stunned. I could not believe
that Canada did not
Canada
have
had no paid apps.
Like, what?
For all this time.
Obviously, somebody was listening to you, and they were like, that Mark Jeffrey is right.
I guess it was my doing.
We need to flip the switch, so you're welcome,
Canada.
Canada.
Said Mark says you should have paid apps. We should do it.
Hey, that's exactly. No, it's you can thank Mark Jeffrey, Canada. You can send your undying letters of gratitude, your tweets of gratitude to
and
Mark
square
Jeffrey.
Wheels. Thank you. So, all right. So we're almost running out of time here, so I'm going to read one or two more articles. This is a good one.
Pick your favorite.
Yeah. So the Android market finally hits 30,000 apps. So I think the last time we checked in, there was something like 17,000.
Yeah.
The iPhone App Store is, where's the iPhone App Store to at this point? Like 120,000, something like that?
I have slightly different numbers. Average app downloads per month for Android, 8.7, which I'm assuming is million.
Well, that's probably
1.1 paid, 7.6 on free apps.
That's probably instances. That's like collectively.
Downloads, unique downloads.
Exactly.
So it's not really the number of apps. So
okay, interesting.
So what I'm seeing is there's approximately 30,000 free and paid apps in total.
Okay.
On the available on the Android, in the Android marketplace. So the application store for Android hit 10,000 apps in September of last year. So it's more than doubled in just about 3 months. Or, is that right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now, does anyone in the chat room know what the number is for Apple? I actually don't know that number.
I think it's between 120 and 150,000.
Okay, so somewhere.
They weren't really sure, especially after the whole the destruction. The genocide of all the adult apps like a few weeks ago. There was a big drop, and so I'm not exactly sure what the number is now, but.
And do you count iPod Touch or not?
Yeah, do you count iTouch apps only, and all that stuff? Somebody had I love our viewers. They're like, we've got some crap apps though, and I mean, but that's true for every app catalog. I mean, geez, Palm's app catalog. It's like every other app is like a book that is now, public domain.
Right.
It's 99 cents. Every other one right now. It's like crazy, and it's it's terrible. Most of them are terrible. But then we have our apps of the week, and they're really good.
We do. They're very good. Yeah, Zillow came out this week on the Android device.
Home appraisal.
Yeah, the home appraisal one.
Really cool.
There's a couple good ones that came out this week. That were
they
have been big on the iPhone side. They're now finally available on the Android devices. So two more stories because they're sort of flip, two sides of one coin, if you will. First one: Google can't trademark the Nexus One name.
I can't believe that.
I can't believe that one either.
Is it because of Blade Runner?
I'm not sure.
No, but I know that Philip K. Dick's estate is saying that they're like really pissed.
No, Philip K. Dick's estate.
They are angry.
So for those of you who don't know, I can't believe anyone would not know this. However, Philip K. Dick is the author of the book that Blade Runner, the movie, was based on. The Nexus One is one of the models of the replicants in the movie and in the book.
Yeah.
And so actually Nexus 6 was the
I think
guys, Nexus 6. Okay.
Yeah, Nexus 6.
So Nexus 1 was ostensibly the first version of the replicant. So Google, basically definitely took it from, the platform's Android, so the whole Blade Runner replicant
They're all Androids.
theme. Exactly. So everybody knows that Google got the name Nexus 1 from Blade Runner.
Right.
So the estate of Philip K. Dick I think they're suing. I think they're actively suing.
I believe they
Google.
are actively suing.
Yeah, basically
to
saying, yeah, you can't
away
use
from
that.
them.
So.
They can't even trademark it. Nope.
Yeah, no, they can't trademark it. So let's see. I'm trying to see why. It doesn't say here why not.
I believe it was because there was another company.
Oh, really? There's somebody else. Oh, here we go. Integra Communications is a current holder of the trademark on the term Nexus, which is a convergence of voice and data communications. So therefore, the patent office felt that you could easily confuse those two.
Too close, yeah.
Which I have to agree with them actually on this. So.
I love
so the Google. They may not be able to call the Nexus One the Nexus One.
Yeah. And Scott Merritt in our chat room's like, yeah, they can't trademark it, but top result in Google.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's the effective trademark.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so now here's the flip. This is the other story I want to read, and then we'll
wrap it up. Yeah, we're definitely.
Samsung trademarks Android in Korea. so Samsung was able to trademark the term Android in Korea, and that's because South Korea has two separate trademarking systems, one for software and another for hardware. So therefore, Samsung was able to cut off access to marketing Android-based phones in Korea based on their operating system name. So
very sneaky.
Yes.
Yeah. It's cutthroat in South Korea.
It really is.
There's a lot of tech there. It is.
South Korea is very. I mean, in some ways, they're more advanced than we are.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of things, actually.
Yeah.
So.
And it's very cutthroat there in the mobile phone market. Yeah, they're. Whew, and I can't imagine they're real thrilled with somebody like Google coming in and stealing their thunder. So.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that's a little backhanded. I don't know.
Trademark and patent issues.
Samsung. I usually love Samsung phones, and I'm kind of like, oh, Samsung, really? Like, come on.
They're a business, though. They have to do that.
I know.
I know you say things like, oh, well, it's not.
But if it were me, I'd do it too.
You know what? It's business. They have
if it was my business, I'd do it.
The shareholders, you're not doing your shareholders justice.
Apparently not outright illegal. So
yeah.
Well, then, like you said, it's two different.
I would say it's not cool.
But
it's definitely
business.
on the sketchy side.
A little shady, yeah.
Yeah.
But business is business, as they say.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that is all the time we have today. We would hate to keep you here any longer. We'll have plenty of news next week, I'm sure, after CTIA.
Oh yes.
I mean, it'll be crazy. So I would like to thank my in-studio co-hosts, Mark Jeffrey. As always, it has been a fantastic pleasure, and John Shiple. Squishy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You can find Mark on Twitter at Mark Jeffrey. You can find John on Twitter at Freelance CTO.
That's right.
And I would also like to send out a thank you to Itamar Weisbrod of FlyScreen. You can find him on Twitter at FlyScreen. And I would also like to thank you, the viewers. You guys are so fantastic, and you make us happy. So keep coming back. And I'd also like to mention that we have lots of This Weekend now. We got a new website up. If you'd like to visit thisweekend.com. I love it. I think it's a great site. It looks so nice.
All of our shows are up there now, so you can
all the shows are up there.
Everything in one place.
This Week in Startups. We got This Week in Cloud Computing with Amanda Coulon. We've got This Week in Twitter with Lon. We've got everything.
Yeah, Kevin Pollak's chat show.
Kevin Pollak's chat show,
famous comedian Kevin Pollak.
Nominated for 3 Streamies.
Yes.
So
doing very well.
Very well.
And there's 1 year anniversary episodes coming up this Sunday.
And
5 o'clock.
It'll be really good. So Sunday at 5 Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah.
Thisweekend.com. Check out the Kevin Pollak chat show. I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Awesome. I'll be here for that.
They may be giving away Android phones.
No, they're not.
I just made that up.
I just made that up. I was like, really? God, I'm going to watch.
No. Sorry. That's not true.
But that is all the time we have this week. Thanks again for watching This Week in Android. I'm your host, Ashley Esqueda, and have a great week.